thanks to folks like you for joining and telling your friends, because we want to grow. We want to make sure that we're able to provide so many amazing opportunities for all of you folks in this region. Now, we also want to celebrate you with some cool things because everybody loves swag. I know many of you got a t-shirt today at the hall, and for joining today, you'll all get a TCO shirt shipped to your house, everybody online as well. But we also want to make sure you get some TCO swag. So we're going to pick a random member today. So all you have to make sure of is that you're here today in some capacity and that you're a Topcoder member. So you might have just signed up for this event, not really sure what's going on, but make sure you go to topcoder.com today and sign up for our community, because we want to see you as part of there, and you can see all of the amazing things that we have to offer for you. In addition, when you get in there, tell us who you are. Please fill out your profile. That really matters when you're adding what skills you have or why you're interested in being a part of Topcoder. That just helps us make sure we're providing the best opportunities for you. So when you go to Topcoder and register, please add some skills and some information about yourself. But also, if you're already a Topcoder member, go back into your profile and make sure that you have those skills and those things enabled for you. And this is the really awesome, cool t-shirt you're going to get, as I said, in the mail. So once this event is over, we're going to send you an email. We'll get your contact information, and we're going to make sure this really cool shirt is shipped to you. And this is going to be a one-of-a-kind shirt. You can't get anywhere else. So wear it proudly, and make sure you send some pictures for us. Hashtag TCO22, and put it out there on social media. Now, I wanted to leverage this awesome event to make a couple announcements. I have some awards to give out to our members in this region. But before I do that, we just launched something really huge at Topcoder, and I thought that this audience in this event could be an amazing way to announce it. So for the first time ever, you guys get to hear about it first before anybody else. We just launched Topcoder Academy. This just went live. It's beta. We have our own course at Topcoder where you can get certified in responsive web design. Please go to Topcoder Academy. Check that out. I'll have someone on my team share the link with you in the chat for the virtual audience, and then we'll make sure you guys get it at the event itself. But Topcoder Academy is going to be a whole new way to interact with the Topcoder community. Getting certified with skills and then leveraging those skills on Topcoder competitions is going to be really great for you. I'm really proud of myself. I already started the course in responsive web design, and it was a really great course, and I'm still going through it. It's going to take some time. I have my 7-year-old son already signed up. He started it as well, and I have a special promotion just for you guys here today. I want to reward all of you. So if you go into Topcoder Academy and you do the course and get certified, is going to be awesome, and I want to see that. So everybody here today, if you go through the course, send me an email showing me your certificate, and I'm going to give you a special prize. It's going to last through the end of September, and I'll make sure we put this in our email as we close out this event as well, so you don't forget. But by the end of September, anybody here who takes this first responsive web design course and sends me an email with their certificate is going to get a bonus cash prize, because I'm really excited about it, and I want you all to take advantage of this amazing thing that we're doing. And as I said, this is beta. We have one course so far and many more to go. Incredibly proud of the Topcoder team for launching Topcoder Academy, and really excited to be able to share it with you guys today for the first time. Now let's get to some awards for this region. We like to award top members in your area, and you might not see your name on here today, but maybe you'll be there next year, and I really hope so. So we have top performers overall. Yes, Baylor, I always mess up that handle. Congratulations for you, first place for QA and development in this region. He's done some amazing stuff this past year. Toxic Pixel for design. He's based out of South Africa. Oh, I'm sorry, it doesn't say design there, my mistake. So congratulations to you. Raz 16-bit for SRM, Neon Ray for First to Finish, and Nika for Marathon. So congratulations to all these Topcoder members for earning some top points in their categories. And now I want to award our Shining Star member. The Shining Star member of the region is somebody who has done some really great stuff over the past year. They're a dedicated Topcoder member. They're passionate. They're really engaged within the community, and we want to award them a Shining Star award. As part of that, they will get a certificate and a really great Topcoder swag bag with a customized hoodie. Now, this Shining Star Award is something we do for every single region, and we've announced somebody for each region except for this one. So I'm really excited today to promote who our Shining Star Award winner is. And this year it goes to Code Abby, who is leading this entire event. So congratulations to Abby. He jumped into Topcoder, was passionate right away, jumped in, wanted to help and do more, and he's running this entire event with the help of Robinson, who is our Shining Star member from last year. So these two guys, especially Abby this year, have really jumped up and brought Topcoder to all of you. So the reason why you're hearing about this today is probably because of Abby and Robinson. So thank you, Abby, so much for all you've done for Topcoder. We really appreciate having you here and seeing how well this event kicks off for the rest of the day. Awesome. So that's all I have for you for the presentation today. But I don't want to delay this event anymore. We have so many awesome things happening. Some great speakers. We have our amazing sponsor, MongoDB, here as well. I just want to send one more thank you so much to all of you for being here. And most importantly, thank you so much for being a part of our community. It means a lot to us. We want to grow. We want to make sure you know of all these amazing opportunities. But also, as I love to remind everybody, Topcoder is for everybody. We don't care where you live, what gender you are, what culture you grew up in, your race, your religion. We don't care. We welcome everybody at Topcoder, and that's why it's an amazing place to be a part of, amazing place to work at. And I hope to see you all in person at one of our Topcoder Open events. But that's it for me. Thank you so much to the team out in the hall there. I hope this has been a great experience for you so far, and looking forward to hearing all the great speakers. Thank you guys so much.
Oh, okay. Okay, so now I'm moving on to the keynote speakers. And the first person coming up is Taiwo. He's going to be talking on development. Please let's welcome Taiwo.
I'm from USA.
From Indonesia,
Philippines,
India.
the Netherlands,
Romania,
Vietnam. Venezuela.
USA,
India,
Brazil,
Bulgaria,
Kenya,
India, Slovakia,
Finland,
Brazil,
Nigeria.
Indonesia,
China,
Japan. Hungary. Thailand.
Compose.
we are
Topcoder,
We are Topcoder.
We are
Topcoder,
We are
Topcoder,
Topcoder,
We are
community
strong.
we are
Community strong.
we are community strong.
Community strong.
Community strong.
Olemme vahvoja yhteisönä.
Somos una comunidad fuerte.
suntem o comunitate puternică.
Kami komunitas yang kuat.
mesmo se une.
Naciona Comunica.
We zijn een sterke gemeenschap.
Nós somos fortes na comunidade.
Sisi ni jamii yenye nguvu.
हम हैं एक मजबूत समुदाय.
Tayo ay malakas na komunidad.
Tayo Buffalo Badali.
Oops. Hi again. So I am sorry for the technical difficulties. They are trying to fix it. My apologies. I would try to entertain you, but I am not a stand-up comedian or anything like that. So I'm wondering if the audience can see and hear me. Akinwale, wave if you can hear me. Clearly not. All right. So this is super fun because I'm here and I can't help in whatsoever way, shape, or form to help the audio people over there. So hoping and praying that they have this all figured out. So in the meantime, hey, let's have a impromptu Q&A. So you guys have my undivided attention until they fix the audio. How can I help you? You guys have questions about Topcoder? Shoot them in the chat. Throw them in the Q&A tab, whatever you guys got for me. Let's see what kind of questions I can help you with. If you're new to Topcoder specifically, what would you like to learn more about? Hi, Nurse Sultan. Welcome. And I love how Rachel's laughing at all my jokes in the chat. So thanks, Rachel, for making me feel like I am sort of funny. Any questions for me, guys? Think about Topcoder. Topcoder for beginners, Joy, great question. Absolutely. That's the best part about Topcoder is it's great for learning because when we welcome you in and then we provide you with lots of educational information to help you grow and learn. And then we make sure that we provide you with opportunities where you can register for challenges, which is free, and try them out. And then if you're not doing well, you can always see the submissions that we're passing and doing well, which is great. So there's always opportunity to learn and grow from every aspect of Topcoder. So whether you're competing in competitions, you're reading articles on our Thrive Educational Center, you're starting our new Topcoder Academy course, there's absolutely ways to learn. And it's great for beginners. So you can start fresh here. It's great for trying to restart careers. Hey, Topcoder team, just give me the heads up if we have the audio back on in the hall, please. All right. Does Topcoder do design? Yeah, we have design. Absolutely. We have an amazing design community. I would say it's probably the best part of the Topcoder community. Don't tell everybody else. The design community is fantastic. And Daniela in the chat can give you lots of info. All right, it sounds like they might have it up and running, you guys. So I'm going to stop my impromptu Q&A, but I'll pop back in later if you guys have any other questions, and I'll put these guys back on stage.
Yeah, so basically, Topcoder has a very large community. We have about lot of developers, a lot of engineers around the world, which basically come platforms to compete. So you compete with best developers, designers, data scientists from all over the world. So when like probably I put the emoji there, developers. So basically, there's no reason for it to be nervous because even if you are just starting out, there's always room for you. If you're just starting out your tech journey, it's totally fine. So consider as a platform, as an opportunity for you to learn and grow. So as you're starting out, you can grow as much as you want. Okay. So even though you're not at that level, like for you to there's always way to improve and grow. So Topcoder offers you things that no other company offers. So one of them is no background experience check or CV to start. So even if you don't have any experience at all, like no experience at all, no like nothing, you can get started on. So you can start competing and learning at the same time. So it's a platform where you compete, you learn, and you also get paid for doing that. Okay. So the next one is no discrimination. Never like you get to work with um, like different kind of people around the world. No discrimination. It doesn't matter where you are from, whether in Asia or Africa or in America. So you also get the Purple Park tournament and Olympic, of course. Yes, sir. Yeah. So how I was saying that two parts for is like join the popular community, like basically two part. We have the gig work and the challenges. So yeah, the gig work is basically a full-time freelancing role where you get to be matched with different kind of clients. So basically, there are two parts. Like you can get into this gig works through challenges, like solving challenges, and if you already have experience, you can just apply to big works as much as possible. Okay, so you can. There are a lot of them on the platform where you can apply, and once you get matched, the process is very very easy, such that it's very very easy for you to get it once you have like if you have the experience or you already have the points that you can get matched with other clients. So you get to work with companies like J&J, the current place I'm working at NASA, IBM, Mobile, experience. Gig work process is very, very simple and straightforward. You apply, verification, and view. You also do client interview. So for me, it's quite straightforward. I never get to do the challenges. I didn't go through the challenges part, right? So I already have some good amount of experience before applying to Topcoder. So the client interview is pretty much depending on the client. It depends on the client. It depends on based on like their interview. It could be a one-on-one interview. It could be a take-home assignment, depending on the client. So challenge is the second route, right? So you can get people without experience at all. Without experience, we can just get started at technical challenges. And it doesn't matter if you have experience or not. You know as you solve those challenges and you compete with partially like best developers around. the world. So the question, we might talk with our experience when we get some job outside Topcoder. Yes, totally. So on the platform, we have a profile that shows your experience. I don't have, okay, yeah, that shows your experience, what you be like, what you like be working on with your skills, right? So it's kind very, very possible for you to like get recommendations from like get companies like Google, Yahoo, Bruce, Automation, Microsoft, and the likes. Okay. So, so references. So you can to get started. Like I put in some references. What you can like what you can go through just to get started with software. So thank you. If you want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me via LinkedIn. Thank you very much.
Please round of applause for Taiwan. So once again, welcome to TCC 2022, and that was Taiwan. I hope you are learning. He said a top coder said you don't have to have any prior experience before starting. Starting is made easy with top coder. Are we all learning? So our second speaker is Rocky. He's going to be talking on data science. Please let's welcome Rocky.
Awesome. Hello, welcome everyone to this TCO 2022 event, the first in Africa. I'm happy and excited to have you all attend to this event. And on my part, I'm going to handle on how to demystify data science. And we know that data science right now is a big part of every industry. Every industry is focusing around data science due to the huge and big data that it's being handled by these companies, be it financial institutions, government entities, and also institutions like schools and also military uh, enterprises. So without further ado, I would love to introduce myself. My Topcoder handle is Rocket12. I go with that username, but my name is Robinson Mwiru. I'm from Kenya, currently residing in Nairobi. I'm a Topcoder competitor in 3 different tracks, one of them being quality assurance, which is QA, and data science, and also software development. I've been a member of Topcoder since 2019, and I've done to 93 software development challenges at Topcoder and 30 data science challenges so far. So if you need to go to my Topcoder profile, you'll be able to verify that indeed I have handled those projects as listed here. So, okay, apologies to that. Okay, so for data science, you need to have to first understand what data science is. And data science is a process in which you can develop a blueprint from the data that you have. And in this data, you can be able to analyze what a particular set of data set from any industry that you are reviewing, whether you want to analyze that data. Is that data raw or is it pre-processed? how are you able to use that data and leverage it for better use to create modern tools and techniques for better insights from what you are anticipating at the end. So data science itself, like I have listed on this definition, is that it's a process that will help you develop a blueprint to prepare data and that data you are preparing is raw data. So you are preparing that raw data to analyze and visualize that data, which will help you to get data insight that are helpful for your company or for the organization that you're working for. So you'll also be able to use modern tools that are available for data analytics to happen. And as we proceed, I will handle a few. But I saw it important that I list the major components of data science. If you are a beginner in data science and you want to know what are the major components that you can be able to handle, one of it is data mining. And data mining here means that you'll be able to extract or scrape data from different sources, which in that case, the data is raw and you can be able to process it. We also have data visualization, we also have data analysis, and we also have data model. So we have the data science cycle, and in data science cycle, we will be able to know the most important data science cycles. One of the data science cycle is business understanding. What it means by business understanding, and you have mined the data from different sources, you need to understand the objectives of first obtaining that data, pre-processing it, and having the right values being attached as the key points for you to build a model that will be well analyzed for that particular project. So business understanding comes to be the first cycle, a very important cycle for you to handle big data, analyze the pre-processed data, identify the key value points in which you will be able to build a model. We also have a very important cycle, which is data mining. It is scrapping and gathering data necessary for that task. For instance, if you want to identify the housing pricing in Lagos, you'll have to identify the necessary points from that data that you have scrapped. We also have another important cycle, which is data cleaning, which handles the missing data and fixes the data inconsistencies. So data cleaning here helps remove the anomalies, and you are left with the most important data that you'll be able to leverage while building your model for your business or for any challenge that you are working on in any company. We also have data exploration. This is where now you'll be able to visualize data from the defined hypothesis. So how do you visualize the data? There are tools that are available out there for you to be able to visualize the data in which you have built the model from. For instance, we have Seaborn, which shows the heat maps for the specific data. We also have Matplotlib, in which it plots the statistics for that data that you have created, for that model that you have created from that pre-processed data. We also have another important cycle, which is feature engineering. This is where, with the raw data available, you create more meaningful features. For instance, if you have raw data that has not been cleaned, pre-processed, now this feature engineering, you use the available techniques and score metrics to identify the most important values that you are going to use for that particular model. We also have another important cycle, which is predictive modeling, and machine learning models are trained and evaluated and make predictions. This happens when you have already made a model or you have created a model. And now from the data that you are using to train and to test, you can now be able to use an algorithm, be it from the supervised running or unsupervised running, to make the prediction. And like I said, from data exploration, we still have the data visualization. Using of plots and interactive visualizations to create or to communicate the insights or the findings from that model. And I mentioned we have Seaborn, we have bokeh, we have plots. We can use plots to express the ideas. We also have the prerequisites for data science. And what I mean by prerequisites for data science, they are the most important parts that make up what data science is. And the first prerequisite of data science is machine learning. I know most of you, or the large number of you, understand what machine learning, or have heard or have seen what machine learning is. In layman's language, it's being able to train a machine to do the repetitive tasks of what human beings do. That is what, in layman's terms, you can say what machine learning is. But in my definition, it is the study of the method of understanding and building techniques to help utilize and manipulate data using algorithms and statistical models. So for those of you would want to start with machine learning, I have highlighted it for you. And for those who are experts in this field, we'll talk more on how we can be able to leverage this prerequisite. I went ahead and said the types of machine learning, supervised machine learning being one of it. This is where you use data that has labeled values, and you know the outcome, what will the outcome be. So for supervised learning, you have to label the values for you to build a model. Unlike the unsupervised learning, where you use non-labeled data to build a model. So here you will be able to use the different algorithms in unsupervised learning, where you don't need to label the data, such as k-nearest, and you will use clusters or k-nearest methods to form the data values from a group of data inside your data set. We also have the modeling part. This is where you will use the mathematical calculation and prediction based on the leveraged data. From the data that you pre-processed, now you'll be able to use mathematical calculations, which inclusively use NumPy, which is a library in machine learning in Python, and you'll be able to use NumPy to help you do mathematical calculations, which will leverage the data by accumulating all predictive aspects into creating a suitable algorithm using either supervised learning or unsupervised learning. We also have the statistics part, which is the core of data science. Data science itself helps you in statistical methods because we want to gather insights from the data that we have so that we can leverage it in the marketing aspect or in industrial use to predict what kind of outcome or output that the industry may happen to have. We also have the programming, which is also a prerequisite. For data science and machine learning, there are programming languages that do help data science to be what it is. And I listed but a few. One of it is Python. We have R, and we have Julia. Julia is an upcoming language which is doing a lot in data science. So with this background knowledge of these programming languages such as Python and R and Julia, etc., you'll be able to work effectively to get the best and suitable output. So I went ahead and I listed them, the programming languages and tools used in data science. And I said they will help you, the programming languages, which is R, we have Java, SQL, Scala, we have MATLAB, which is a tool, TensorFlow, which is a tool, programming language, which is a language. We also have Keras, which is a tool which helps in algorithm and mathematical computation. So with the background knowledge of the languages and tools, you'll be good to go. And for those who are advancing in data science, because it is an evolving ecosystem in data science, these are suitable tools, and you can attest that they do great work. We also have the databases, which are used to leverage the data usage in data science. And I went ahead and simulated on how SQL can be used in data science. So again, how can you, or who are the observers for data science? If you are in need to become a data scientist, who do you expect to be the observer? Or who do you expect to be your boss? In this case, I went ahead and listed but a few. They are IT managers. IT managers in data science help to interact, to impact the success of the product by using the right metrics, track impact, and measure the goals. So the IT managers work closely with data scientists, and data scientists help the managers to track the impact by generating insights from the visualized data of the data set they were working on. We also have data science managers, and data science managers help to leverage the data and work with the engineers to give reliable insights for better and more informed decisions. So data science managers, they are always in close contact with data scientists or data analysts or data engineers who help them to make good decisions for their product or to predict the future of their company. What about the business managers? Business managers come to incorporate the business intelligence and are able to leverage the data insights that have been analyzed by the data scientists, data engineers, and also the data analyst as per se. We have different roles in data science, and with these roles comes with different tools and different responsibilities. So with the different roles in data scientists, as we are going to see them, we have the first one, a data analyst. A data analyst comes with a different role, different tool, and also how they can be able to help a business leverage the data. As a data analyst, you'll help to develop hypotheses, analyze the patterns of the customers, and also detect and predict the future patterns for that particular product or that particular business in comparison to other entities. There are different tools, I just mentioned a few, one of it being SAS, Jupyter, MATLAB, and Excel. Those are just a few. I know there are many. You can list them for those who are familiar with data science and machine learning. But for those who are starting by, this is a good specification in which you can be able to differentiate. We also have a data engineer who has a different role, who helps to correct, manage, and convert raw data into meaningful information. And the tools that are available, one of it being Informatica, Tarint, AWS Redshift, and many more. We also now have data scientists. They use available tools to analyze the data and check the market trends from the data. Now, remember, from the raw data, they made it pre-processed, and now they were able to have clear values in which they used to build the model. And from building that model, they were able to visualize the data and also make a prediction. What are the tools that the data scientists use? They use the Tableau, Cognos, Raw, Jupyter, Azure, ML, Spark, MLib, and many more. These tools are just but a few. What are the opportunities that do you have as a data scientist? Whether you are beginning as a data scientist or you are already on the field, I can guarantee you there are many opportunities at Topcoder, and you will be able to benefit from them. One of them, and before I mention them, how do you first join Topcoder so that you can benefit as a as a beginner or as an expert in data science? First, you'll be required to register at Topcoder. Topcoder is open to all of you, whether you are starting or whether you are already on the field. You'll be required to sign up, become a Topcoder member. You just go to topcoder.com and you'll register and become a member. Then you can be able to participate in challenges, data science challenges. And you'll be able to compete with other global members who have data science skills. As I was making this slide, I found they were open data science challenges. As you can see them, we have a hydropower operation optimization. It is a data science match with a total of 15,000 US dollars as a data scientist. We also have a device operating region classification match, and there you will be able to use supervised running to make a model. We also have a SpaceNet challenge, which is also ongoing, which is a fraud detection challenge with a total of 45,000 US dollars. Now, this is one of the opportunity you can be able to leverage as a beginner or as an expert in the field, in which you will be able to compete with developers globally and showcase your skill, and you will be compensated for it. There is no bidding. It's all free to join. Register for that challenge and put your skill forward, and wish you success. We also have there are challenges that have and opportunities that Topcoder has offered with companies globally. Topcoder is a global community at its best, and it cares for the community. And I'm glad that you are curious to become the part of the community. So Topcoder has been able to work with one of the company, NASA. NASA is the National Aeronautics and Space Administration in the United States, and there are projects and challenges that have happened in the past in which Topcoder members were part of. One of it was ground control system, in which you are to leverage the data and make a prediction, or also create a software that the drone will be able to leverage. I've also posted the link for that particular project. So maybe at the end of it, we'll be able to share and you can go about it. Also, there was very recently, there was a NASA Comet Detection Challenge in which Topcoder members got to identify 2 comets. This was one of the challenge, and as you can see, the prize is listed there. It's all data science, and you are lucky to join us today because all these opportunities are here for you. There was also the part 1 of this NASA comet detection challenge, in which the same and huge amount was shared amongst the Topcoder members who delivered possible and successful solutions as per se. We also have the SpaceNet. We had SpaceNet challenges in the past. SpaceNet itself is a company, and it was all about weather mapping, and all those amounts were shared amongst members. I have listed the challenge URL in which you'll be able to go through about, learn from them, and you'll be good to go if you are already on the ground. And if you are starting, this is the best session for you. It is all accommodative globally. The same here, there was also a SpaceNet weather mapping, and it's still ongoing. There is a SpaceNet of flood detection that is ongoing, so feel free to jump in. So there is also a way in which you will be able to benefit a Topcoder. A Topcoder, as a data scientist, there is a Topcoder NASA community. Once you become a Topcoder member, you get to join different channels that are available in the community. One of it is Discord channel. And inside Discord channel, NASA, in partnership with Topcoder, they have these amazing opportunities for all of us, including you as a beginner or as an expert there. So once you become a Topcoder member, be sure you join the NASA community, in which you'll be first notified when these challenges come up and job opportunities. We also do have data science remote gigs or jobs. You as a Topcoder member, whether you want to join today or you are already a member in data science and you have those skills, you can go ahead and apply for short-term gigs. These short-term gigs, they help you to work directly with the client, but of course, via the Topcoder tag. So how do you apply for these short-term gigs? As I was preparing for these slides, I happened to find there were open gigs already from software development, graphic design, and data science. But for the sake of data science, you can keep an eye on topcoder.com/gigs and keep on checking on those opportunities. You are only required to have your CV polished and include all the details that you qualify for that job, and you will be ready for an interview once you make that application. So what are the use cases of data science? For those who are new in data science and are curious to know how are my skill or how will be my skills be applicable on the ground. Data science use case. It is used in healthcare. In the past, even in Topcoder, there are companies that are in healthcare field that have crowdsourced their projects for Topcoder members to handle them. So in healthcare, data science is used to analyze electronic health records, optimize the health supply chains, and provide real-time information to the health practitioners and also to the experts who are in research in healthcare. Data science is also used in fraud detection. For instance, this one is used in banking sector. For those who are familiar with mobile banking and mobile loans, especially in Africa, they are common. We have amazing startups or companies doing that. Fraud detection is one of the major aspects that is used in those companies. And the algorithm is injected to be able to identify the flaws. Data science is also used in image and speech recognition. That is, for instance, use of bots, chatbots, and also speech to text translation or text or speech to text translation or text to speech translation. Data science is also used in logistics, which helps in forecasts, demand, and warehouse optimization, reduce freight costs, and estimate the total delivery times. We are also familiar with advert recommendation. This is like on YouTube or any other social media where you get recommendation of any channel that it is suitable as per what you had browsed earlier. We also have data science is used in gaming and augmented reality. So I happen to move around for those who are interested or are beginners in data science. I did a small demonstration, and the link for this project is on my GitHub, and I have shared that, and I'll share it. How to practice machine learning using Python, and how you can be able to leverage the data from an external source to now being able to provide insights. So for this particular project, I listed the libraries that I was going to use, one of it being NumPy, and NumPy helps in mathematical computation in any sector or in data science. It helps you to leverage the mathematical computation to give accurate statistics in that data set. We also have Pandas. Pandas helps you to load the data set or export the data. You'll be able to read the data once you load it using the Pandas library. We also have Matplotlib, which helps you as a data scientist or as a machine learning engineer to plot the visualized output from the model that you have created. We also have Seaborn, which creates the heat maps from the data that you have given. And how do you do that? You install these libraries using the Python package manager, which is called pip, or either on your command prompt or on your terminal for those using the Linux-based operating systems. So I went ahead and did that on Jupyter Notebook. And as you can see, I was able to import NumPy as NP. Also, I imported Pandas as PD. I also imported matplotlib.pyplot as PLT, and also imported Seaborn as SNS, and also provided the grid for that particular heat map signature from Seaborn. And the dataset link, I borrowed it from Kaggle because we are going to work for the house price of machine learning. So how do you load that data? You load that data using the Pandas. For the trained dataset, you identify and specify that you are importing the trained dataset, which is train.csv. And for the test dataset, you use the Pandas to read from that CSV as the test.csv. Once you do that, and you learn that tab, you should not get any error. Once you get zero error, you are good to go. Now you can be able to print the few columns and few rows in that particular data set once you have loaded using the Pandas or the PD. For instance, I went ahead and printed the few columns and few rows for the train data set, and data_train.head. I was able to print the few, and .head, you can see there are two brackets, which means it's a method. In Python, for those who are beginners in Python and don't have these skills, a dot head or a dot tag with brackets, it says that is a Python method. So we use the dot head method to identify the few columns and few rows. I also went ahead and used a dot info method, which is leveraged in pandas, and the pandas data frame information gives the summary of all the data set. In here, you'll be able to identify the name of the specific column. You'll also be able to identify, as you can see here, you are able to see the specific columns with their name and also the data types, whether the type of data from those columns, are they objects, are they integers, are they floats? You'll be able to specify using the .info method. We also can go ahead and extract the training data point. You remember when I was doing introduction, I mentioned about getting the right values for you to build that particular model. And here we extract the X and Y data points that will help us to create and leverage the data by specifying in what tab the y-axis or in which tab the x-axis the values will align themselves into. Then after I identify the training models, the training values, you'll be able to plot you'll be able to plot or visualize the data. And how do you do that? In this case, I used a histogram. But in here, the histogram under the Seaborn or SNS, as you can see, is hist plot. Then you identify whether you are going to use the ilog using the numpy. Like I said, the numpy is used in mathematical computation in machine learning. So you'll be able to identify how many figures do you need in that particular data set for them to be visualized. You identify the figure 18. Do you need a column of 18 diagrams or histograms? And do you need 16? You'll be able to identify the number of columns and the number of rows as per the histogram. Then you'll be able to label them. So you'll be able to label whether the Y, whether is as you can be able to identify from the pandas data frame .info, and the columns were listed here below. Now you'll be able to label the Y or the X for that particular diagram with specific names. So that is it for now. For more about this project, I have provided a link for this project on my GitHub. So if you have any questions, there are a few ways you can be able to reach out to me. Once you join Topcoder and you join Topcoder Discord, my Topcoder handle is Rocket12. You can hit me up. Also remember to join our African community there and more amazing communities up there learning for you. Also, you can find me on Signal application via that number. I also do live streams on Python related stuff on YouTube. If you have direct questions, you can also DM me on Twitter, where we do hosts on every weekend with my host, Kodabi. Every weekend we do have Twitter space. So do join, DM me if you have any question. So thank you very much. More amazing and happy to see you as you will be joining this community. Looking forward to seeing you around.
Topcoder offers a number of challenges where you are able to code solutions, submit ideas, or work on other activities to earn money and TCO points. The first thing you probably want to do as a competitor is to see what challenges are available for you to participate in. You can find all available challenges on the challenge listings page. On this page, you will find individual challenges that display challenge titles, tags, as well as the timeline and prize money offered. Great! You found the challenge you wanted to compete in. This top area presents you with the number of winners for that particular challenge and the prize amounts they would receive. Expanding this bar will reveal all of the dates and times you need to know in order to submit your work on time. Make sure you take special note of the challenge deadline, as that is the specific time you need to submit by, or else you will be disqualified from the competition. These are the details of the challenge you are about to compete in. Be sure to read this section thoroughly before you begin so you do not miss any details. A few things change once you register for a challenge. You may notice the challenge forum link becomes available. The challenge forum is very important. Clicking this link will take you to the challenge forum where you can ask your questions to the co-pilot or to generally talk about that specific challenge. The challenge forum is where members of the contest and the co-pilot, who is a Topcoder member who manages the challenge, post messages to each other. Once you have registered to a challenge, you will automatically be set to watch the forum and will receive email notifications whenever anything is posted. In most circumstances, the materials relevant to the challenge will be attached in the forum. To figure out what you have to do for a challenge, read the description to determine what the challenge is asking for. Specifically, look at the final submission guidelines section to determine exactly what you need to provide in your submission. When you're finished with your submission, zip up the files and submit it to be reviewed. To formally submit your work, go to the challenge details page and press the submit button. A new page will show up. Drag and drop your zip file to the submission area, or click the Pick a File button to upload your submission from your local drive. Once your submission is uploaded, check the box to agree to the terms and press the Submit button. And now, your submission is submitted. Once the challenge deadline has been reached, all submissions will be evaluated. After a few days, the winners will be announced and you will be able to see the results on the challenge details page. Shortly after a challenge ends, prize money is awarded to the winners. To see your prize money, click Community and then Payments. Best of luck competing at Topcoder. Wish you were here? You can with Topcoder and Safety Wing. As a Topcoder member, purchase health insurance through Safety Wing for nomads and remote workers. Sign up today.
So I did that for a bit, but the thing was, I think the top price was like $100 or so, and I was looking for more money at the time. And also, I realized that I didn't know anything. So basically, I completed those challenges, and my ratings kept dropping. So on top of that, you have like a rating system. Like when you finish the challenge, you get a rating. So I wasn't doing very well with those challenges, and my rating kept dropping. So I'm looking at other challenges to participate in, and I found out about development. So the way development works is you get like a requirement specification. You're going to use the technology. So it's either Java, C Sharp, or I think PHP, Python, or I think there was also I can't remember the others right now, but like there were different languages and technologies you could use at the time. So I found out about that and I got started with that. So there was a bit of like a challenge trying to get started because there was there are no guidelines for getting started. I had to look through previous challenges. So one thing that you can do as a newbie, as a first timer, you can check previous challenges to see if you can download and look at the code, just to see the structure. So that's what I did. The first two challenges I participated in just submitted. So basically, I had to download the previous challenge. There were like some updates to the challenge, and then submit those challenges. That's what I did in the first instance. I downloaded them. I looked through how the structure was, and I submitted. I think we were also about like 12 or 13, so a long time ago. About 12 or 13 other people submitted the same challenge. But I think this is going to be tough. How am I going to handle this? So basically, for the challenges, the way it works is there are different phases, and there are own priorities for the first and second place. Right? So you have to do your best. You have to compete with all the other people and make sure you get the top prize, either first or second place, to win prize money. So I did that. I didn't do very well. I think I was like last place for those two. And I was like, okay, how am I going to tackle this? How am I going to win challenges here? And I had to start spending more time on Topcoder, trying to read all the articles on Topcoder, trying to figure out how to actually compete with these people from all over the world. Because it was very tough. So so that was a bit of a challenge. But eventually, I had to do it myself over time, and eventually I got to a stage where I was able to travel and compete in several ways. But before we get to that, I just want to go over how the development challenge works. So there are different phases, right? You have the registration phase, where you can go in, anybody can go in and register. There's no requirement for this. You just sign up on Topcoder, go in, register for an account, and then join the challenge. Once you do that, you have about 5 days to implement the requirements for that challenge. Once the 5 days is up, you need to submit before the deadline, which is before that 5 days up. That's like average of like 5 days. So you need to submit your code before that deadline runs out. Once that happens, you go into the next phase called the review phase. So there's a group of like 2 or 3 people that are going to review all the submissions in that challenge. Once they review the submissions, you get scores assigned for each reviewer. Each reviewer assigns a score to the submission, and then you have an appeals phase. So if you feel like the reviewer has said something about your submission that you feel is incorrect, you can challenge that. You can say, okay, I don't agree with this, and then we have the appeal response phase. So there's a time limit for this, right? For the review phase. You're going to get the results. So first and second place, you get prize money in that aspect. So that's how we challenge. That's how challenges work. We also have the first to finish challenges. This came much later. I think it was initially more dash, and it changes to first to finish. So basically, the idea here is you submit you get the code, you get that you're meant to fix a problem, like an existing piece of code. So you get the code, you look through it, you solve the problem, and then you submit. So if your submission, and you have to submit for anybody else, right? You have to be the first to finish that again. You have to be the first to submit for that challenge. And if your challenge actually meets the requirements, you pass and you get the 5 million. So that was what I spent most of my time on eventually. So I had to walk around the clock, run my generator around the clock, trying to stay ahead and stay on top of the challenge. Okay, so that's the first initial line. We also had assembly. I think this isn't there anymore, but that was also like a much bigger scope. Right? You have where it's a case where you have to integrate like a bunch of challenges, so integrate a bunch of components, and then you get to the price number as well. So that's just a basic idea of how everything works. So that's the area. Now, for the Topcoder point, this runs all year round. The Topcoder point is it's an event where you are invited to the US to participate live, and you have to compete live across people from across the world. So these people, the competition stage works in such a way that when you participate in challenges, normally, development challenges, first challenges, and so forth, there's a board, there's a scoreboard that ranks you based on what you've achieved. So I think it takes the top 12 or top, it depends on the rules, you can find the rules on top of the sites. I take the top, I think for TCO22 they're going to take the top 12 competitors and invite them over to the US participate. So I want to talk about my Topcoder experience. I first went to the Topcoder Open in 2008. That was I didn't actually qualify, but I applied for this and I got it. So I just decided let me go see what this is about. And that was a really eye-opening experience. We had people, we had companies sponsoring. We could talk to the companies to schedule interviews and that sort of thing. We network with people, we meet people that we are competing with, and that sort of thing. So it's a very big experience, a very eye-opening experience. I also tried to apply in 2009. I was planning my year visa. I didn't focus for some time. That was unfortunate. Then 2013, I applied again, and I got the visa for that. I went, so I traveled. That was in DC. I traveled for that one. I was second place, first to finish. 2014, that was San Francisco. My visa was still valid. I traveled. I won. That was my first championship. I won. The first to finish as well. 2015, I won a trip. I wasn't participating, but I won a trip. Just like, so you can also win trips if you're not participating. There are other ways to win trips. I won a trip just to go as a Philippine and everything. 2016 as well, I won a trip in DC. 2017, this was my second win. So during this period, right, the US visa process was just a drop-off process. So I went to just open the passports, renew, and that was fine. So yeah, 2017, that was my win in DC. I was actually late for the start of the event. So I think it was about a 4 30-minute period where you had to compete with the other people, like about 12 other people. I got there late, 30 minutes late, but I still managed to win. So that was also very interesting. So that's about it, my Topcoder experience. 2018, I went, but I didn't win anything there. I was 6th place or so. And then apart from that, I think after 2018, 2019, I got another visa again. I didn't bother anymore. 2020, COVID happened, so that was the virtual event. 2021 was a virtual event. But 2022 now, that's this current event again. I think the qualification is done for that, so we're going to the finals now. If you want to, I guess all trade opportunities, I think you can also look on the website to check if you have opportunities to win trips. You can win trips, and then when you qualify, you can travel and then have that experience. You can meet people, you can meet the companies, you can. So I got some interviews about Google and Facebook, but I didn't really want to work with those places. All right, so let's talk about the Nigerian labs now. Like how did I manage to overcome all these challenges? You know, power supply, the internet connectivity issue, and all that. So there was a point in time where I had to have like 4 different kinds of subscription. I had MTN, I had Internet, I had Euro subscription, I had and subscription. So the thing is that you want to be able to work with other people that don't have challenges, right? You don't want to. You want to be able to be the first, able to first to finish. You want to be able to walk around the clock, be able to submit on time, so they can compete with other people. So that you need to be able to have like a backup plan. For electricity, I used to have a generator that I used to run around the clock, but that fire, that's a tire generator. I think you're familiar with those generators. That caught fire, so I had to switch over to solar energy. So I think if you want to be able to compete at this level, you need to be able to invest in what's going to make you, be the best, and what's going to make you productive at this stage. So I would say invest in solar energy. I would say have a backup for your internet connection. I think that's about it. If you want to, so you want to compete, right? I also fall into this trap where the 5-day period where you have to submit, I don't start on time. I start maybe a bit late, and then I'm not able to meet up and submit for deadline. So if you want to compete, you need to be able to start early, and you need to be able to start working as soon as you see the challenges coming up. So there's a Discord channel for Topcoder. You can go on there. Whenever a new challenge is launched, you're going to get a notification that this is the new challenge. Just go and just register. Just go and register, then join the challenge forums, and then you can see requirements, and you can start working right away. As for languages and technologies, there's languages that you can use. So the challenges come in Java and JavaScript, C#, Node.js, Python as well. So you can go in there, explore, see what you can do, and then get started right away. Thank you.
What about those who are now I hope we all are able to take 1 or 2 things from what Akimwale said and what was said. So up next is our sponsors. Want to say thank you and welcome once again to the new people who just walked in and to our online listeners. Thank you for joining in. So the next on the agenda is our sponsors, MongoDB. We have their sessions copyright now on virtual. Thank you.
We're on. G'day everyone and hello from Sydney, Australia. My name is Stephen Staneker, or Stenny, and I'm the Director of Community at MongoDB. Hopefully we can see we see my screen now? There we are. Okay. So I'll just start off quickly with a bit of background on myself and my journey with MongoDB. So as mentioned, I'm based in Sydney, Australia. He's from down under Aussie accent. Sorry to disappoint, I'm not actually Australian. I live in Australia, but let's say guess my accent in the comments. That'll be a fun challenge for you. So I've been working with open source and development communities for a long time as a software developer and now as a manager leading a team with community. I've been working at MongoDB for the last 10 years. 10 plus. I joined in 2012, and I joined Stack Overflow in my first week at MongoDB. You can see down in the bottom left corner there. I got some internet points from answering a lot of questions on Stack Overflow. So if you are asking questions on the internet about MongoDB, hopefully you'll come across some of my answers and find them helpful. And I also contribute to and maintain several open source projects. So I am still a developer, still a geek. All right, so the agenda for today is we're going to talk a bit about MongoDB. I'm not sure if many of you have used MongoDB, so I'd be interested to know if you have or haven't. If you have, shout out in the comments, that would be great. And we're going to spend most of today just talking about some hands-on walking through how to build an application with MongoDB. So we're going to try and do that live. And then lastly, going to give you some tips on how to get help with MongoDB for free online. So to start with, a short definition of MongoDB, which is a lot of buzzwords in there, but MongoDB is a distributed, scalable, modern database. It's a document-oriented database that first shipped in August 2009. So it's not a long time ago in the database world. So traditional SQL databases have been around for 40 or 50 years. So we're a relative newcomer. And I've had the good privilege of being at MongoDB since 2012, so since very early on. And over time, MongoDB has evolved into a general purpose database. So we have features for transactional use cases, search, analytics, mobile, lots of different features, and they continue to grow. And MongoDB is free to use, used by millions. I'm not going to go too much into customers, but just so you know, if you're in good company, there's everyone from home developers, hobby developers to enterprise companies and governments using MongoDB, and you can find out more about that on the website. But there's gaming companies, finance use cases, lots of interesting things going on there. And on the website, they actually have case studies. You can find out a bit more, like what would a bank do with MongoDB and how would they use us? And then some of the numbers here in terms of things that go up and to the right. We've got more than 250 million downloads of MongoDB, the MongoDB open source server, more than 1.5 million university registrations for our free online courses, lots of clusters, lots of users. Shout out to Lilybell, I see here. Trying to read the comments at the same time. And we're one of the fastest growing databases over the past decade, so up and coming. And just to kind of give a very, very short kind of idea of how we differ from traditional tabular databases. In the traditional data modeling world, if you're familiar with modeling something for SQL, you would typically break things down in terms of how you want to store the data. So every bit of data, every field has its place, and you have tables made up of rows and columns. And you might have something like this, where you have at the database level, you have customer details like addresses, and there'd be a separate lookup table depending on the relationship. So a customer has many addresses, you'd have a lookup table to find all the addresses that are associated with a customer record. And typically for convenience in your application, you want to map those into an application object that you work with. So there's this mapping layer in between where you say, take the data from how it's stored in the underlying database and represent that as a customer object. So kind of combining that into something that you can work with in your application. And MongoDB evolves that into thinking about things in terms of documents, which are very much like saving the objects that you have in your application into a database. So instead of having many, many small tables, you end up having something like a customer document, which has all the details that you need for that one customer. So to see what that might actually look like, on the left side, you have your traditional kind of rows and columns. And on the right side, that's what a MongoDB document looks like. So when we talk about a document-oriented database, we're talking about something where there's structure to it. You can see that there's a name, and the name has some properties. There's a first name and last name, but those are part of the name, so that's actually an embedded document. Or we have addresses. Addresses actually are an array in this example. So you could have many addresses. You could have a home address, a work address. Addresses could have geo coordinates to them, and you can store all this in a single document and retrieve that very efficiently. So you kind of model your data how you want to work with it in your application. So we're going to get started and actually, I see Kashagra. Hey, shout out to Kashagra on the chat. So what we're going to do is actually, we're going to get started and we're going to create a new cluster. And the fastest way to do that is actually in the cloud. You can create a free cluster with a service called MongoDB Atlas, which is a hosted version of MongoDB. But if you like, you can also download MongoDB and install it on your own laptop or on your own server. So when you go to mongodb.com/try, there's two paths. We're going to choose the left path here to start free with MongoDB Atlas. And Atlas is our global database as a service product. So it's developed by the team that develops MongoDB. And so we have global deployments, and there's a free tier you can get started with, a free forever tier where you can have a 0.5 gig of storage, and you can actually try out these features, and it's a great way to ramp up your skills. So that's what we're going to do. So the demo we have today is going to be, you can actually, there's a URL you can take home. So if you want to try this after, or if you want to try and follow along now, what we'll be looking at is atlassearchworkshop.com. And the demo here is we're going to create a MongoDB cluster. I'm going to save a little bit of time because I signed up earlier, but that's should only take you a couple of minutes. We're going to load some sample data, and then we're going to add some indices to it and explore the data. And then finally, stretch goal here is we're going to create an HTTPS endpoint, so a secure endpoint, an API endpoint, and we're going to fetch data into a React application. Okay, so Atlas Search Workshop, this is what it looks like. In terms of, it has a tutorial for you to get started, and we're going to kind of follow roughly steps in the tutorial, except try and set something up at the same time as I'm going to show it to you, so you get a sense of, is it possible? I know I've got about 20 minutes left. We'll see how we go. And so the prerequisites for this are just that you have a computer with an internet connection and a modern browser. And so we're going to go for it here. Okay, so the tutorial here, you can see the outline on the left. We've got step one is we're going to stand up the architecture. So stand up a cluster and get a bit familiar with the infrastructure, not architecture. Get a bit familiar with that, and then we'll move through to exploring the data and setting up some queries. And the data that we're going to work with, Atlas includes some sample data that we can load up. So just to give you a sense of, if you don't have data yet and you just want to try something like, how do I search or aggregate or work with different data? There's some data sets there that you can play with. So we have a sample analytics data set, for example, if you want to do a mock financial services application, or there's geospatial data for doing queries based on latitude and longitude and geography. And then what we're going to work with is a sample data set called mflix, which has movie data. So this is very similar to Netflix or one of your home streaming services. And if you look in the documentation, it describes what all the different fields in the database are. So, all right, so let's actually go and have a look at what Atlas looks like. So this is what, if you go to atlas.mongodb.com and you sign up or log in, this takes you to your database page. And I've got a deployment I created earlier, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to get another deployment going in the background so you can see what that process might look like. And so I'm going to switch back and forth a little bit, and hopefully this works out. So right now, I'm in a project called Atlas Search Demo. I'm creating a brand new project, and the project contains a database cluster and the associated resources with that. So I'm going to call this one Live Demo Eek. And I'm just going to go ahead and create this project. So this is creating a brand new deployment in the cloud. And okay, so this project doesn't have any database deployments yet. So step one is I'm going to create a deployment, and you can choose from different options. So there's a dedicated cluster, which is resources allocated just for you, or the serverless, which is on demand. So you can just say, I don't know how big a cluster I need. I'm not going to pay for the resources. I'm not using it. It's just pay for what you use. We're going to create a free cluster. And when you create a deployment, you can choose from any of the regions that Atlas has. So it's multi-cloud, multi-provider. So you can actually have AWS, Google Cloud, Azure, or a cluster spanning all of those. And you can see probably the closest cluster for this group would be, we have Cape Town in Africa, but I'm going to choose Sydney so that it's close to me. You see here I've got a free sandbox, 0.5 gig of storage, and go. Oh no, this is bad. Choose all images with palm trees. Yes, sometimes if you're creating a lot of clusters, you'll get roadblocked with a capture there temporarily. Okay, I'm going to create a user for this. So I actually need a database user if I want to be able to log in. And you could either add your current IP address, but so I'm not shipping my IP address on the internet. I'm going to add, access from everywhere. So this is, there is security in Atlas by default. It has, so it's network encryption, user and password authentication as well. But generally, best practice would be limit your security rather than saying anywhere. And when I do this, Atlas is going to send me an email and say, you realize you just opened your cluster up to anywhere on the internet. All right, congrats. Okay, so now I have a brand new cluster created for me. And this might take a few moments, but actually it's good to go. So there's a message there saying we're deploying infrastructure for you. That gets set up. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and load that sample data I mentioned earlier. And this is going to take a few minutes. So this is actually, it's going to load up. There's 10 different examples of that data. So I'm going to switch back to one I prepared earlier so we can have a look at what data looks like in MongoDB. So I can do everything through the internet, like through the Atlas UI here. You can also do it through a command line interface or download desktop tools as well. So this is really just convenience that we're not switching between too many different applications. Okay, so if I browse collections, I can see all of the databases that have been created for me. I'm going to look at sample influx, and this is the movie data. So let's put some movie data in, and we can see here this is looks like a JSON document. It's got a few extra data types in there for MongoDB. So MongoDB actually uses a format called BSON, or binary JSON, which has some additional data types that JSON doesn't have. So you can think of it kind of JSON-like. And when you write queries, your queries look like JSON documents as well. So let's try, well, we're doing a web demo, so I'm going to look for spiders. I think there's a movie called Spiders, and let's see what happens. You'll notice when I'm typing, this is red, means I don't have a valid query yet. And there we go, spiders. And I can see there's something about spiders, but there's a lot of details here. There's a bit too many details for me to actually see, and I want to remove a few things. So we can do what's called a projection. And again, so we're writing a JSON document to say, what fields do I want to include in the output here? So let's say I'm interested in seeing the title. If I can type here. And use a 1, so something truthy, to include and a 0 to exclude. So I'm going to say, I would like to see a title and a year. Let's see what happens here. Okay, so we see it's down to title and year, and you'll notice there's a field I didn't ask for called _ID. And _ID is the default primary key identifier for a MongoDB document. So in each collection, the ID has to be unique, _ID, and it has to exist. And you can set your own ID, but if you don't, then you get this default one generated for you, which is a kind of a pseudo-random object ID. Okay, so I could also add one more field in here, which is I'd like to see what this movie is about. It seems about spiders. After a Soviet space station crashes into, okay, so there's something there, but let me see, I can expand it out a bit more. What I can't do with this basic kind of queries is I can't say, well, maybe I want something, I'm not quite sure if it's spiders or how to spell it exactly, or I want to do more advanced searches. I can't do that with basic search, but I can create a Atlas search index. And actually, give me a moment. I'm going to go swap for a moment to see how our other cluster is going. So remember, the one I created earlier is called live demo. And live demo is still loading a sample data set. Okay. So on the cluster I created earlier, I created a search index. And the search index, what that lets me do is advanced searches. So we can actually query the search online to see what that might look like. So if I search here for spider, that seems kind of all right. I'm seeing some different movies. And this one, you notice, actually, I created the index, and instead of searching just the title field, I'm searching all the fields in the document. So it's searching the title, the plot, different parts of the document. So here we can see I'm actually showing Peter Parker. Oh, there's a movie Spider-Man. So it's actually found something that's beyond that. But what if I actually don't know how to spell spider very well? I'm going to say, what about a spider with SPY? Oh, that didn't work for me. What if I do a spider? I may not have set this one up. Okay, I didn't choose a super good example there. I'll go back to spiders. What you'll notice also is every document in the search result has a score for it, and that score tells me how relevant that document is to what I was searching for. So you can see the highest scoring document, this has 13.69. The next one has a score of 8. So it kind of goes down from there. So this search tester is kind of a quick way to test, but I actually want to get a bit further. I want to see, what's actually happening here? So I'm going to go back to the data browser. I'm going to look at the collections, and I'm going to build what's called an aggregation pipeline. And this is how you do more advanced data manipulation and transformation. So something like that, the search query I showed you earlier. And let's try this. And if you use the online builder or use a tool like desktop tool like MongoDB Compass, which is an admin GUI, this actually shows me all the different kinds of aggregation stages I can do. And there's lots. So I'm going to do a search aggregation stage. I'm going to search the default index. You can see up in the top here, this is an example of the sample of documents in the collection. So this helps me figure out what fields I have available. And actually, I notice I'm looking at the wrong collection, so that's a good clue. I should go back to movies and aggregation. And I'm going to search the default index that I created. I'm going to search for spider. What am I missing? Index default query spider. No documents found. I'll think on that for a moment. Going back to my sample data set to see if this one is loaded. Still going. Okay. Now, as we do in a live session, I need to figure out what I did wrong here. Index query path. I'm a little bit stumped on why this didn't work. Do I not have a search index in this one? So let me go back. So I'm going to double check on the index that I defined. So I create an index. It's on all searchable fields, automatically indexing everything. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat and show you a different feature here, which is if I go to aggregation, I can copy a query that I created earlier. So if I go here, and I'm going to create a new aggregation pipeline from a query I created earlier. And if I'm lucky, this works. Haha. So syntax errors and things aside, this is what the aggregation pipeline builder looks like. What this lets me do is I can have multiple aggregation stages, and it works a bit like a Unix pipeline where the output of one stage is the input for the next. And you can actually turn these on and off. So what I was trying to do before, to show you, okay, we do a search, I'm looking for spider, and I can query one or more fields. So in this case, I'm searching in the plot and the title, and I want to show where the matches are, so I can highlight those. And so I can see a preview of this is what matches my search results. And then I added a projection here to show me what the output looks like after I project this. Now what I want to do is I want to take this aggregation pipeline that I've built, and I want to create an API for it. So I want to have a front-end web app where I can go and say, query for random things and see what movies are available. So just checking on this other deployment. Okay, this other deployment, the data set has successfully loaded. So I'm going to show you how I created that search index before. So you see here there's a create search index, Atlas search create index. So the data is loaded, and this should be pretty quick. I've got about 9 minutes left. You can create it manually or with a visual editor. So I'm going to create it with a visual editor. And I'm just going to go for the defaults here, which is what I did before, and say, I want to create this rich search index on movies. And I'm going to choose all the default options, but if you want to have a look at what the underlying technology is for Atlas Search, it's an open source product called Apache Lucene. And Lucene is it's got a long history, but there's lots of options you have there in terms of customizing things. So you can do synonyms and aliases and tweak all of the mapping and weighting and things that you like to do. And so when you hit create index, this index will be built in the background, and I'll get an alert once it's done. And it even says, like, here's an example of something that you can, if you want to learn more about search. And all right. So going back to, so where we've got to at this point is, so we've loaded some sample data, we've added search index to it, we've built an aggregation query, and we want to do a, see what that looks like in an application. So one of the neat things you can do with the aggregation query builder is you could say, okay, well, I've built this query, but now I want to actually use it in my code, and you can actually export this directly into code. So I could say, well, I want the syntax for using the Java driver, and I actually can include all the imports that I need there as well. So if you wanted to use any of the official MongoDB drivers, you can say, I want the Python code. It's ready to go. You can drop that in. Or you can just copy the pipeline, which is also, that pipeline is valid as well. So we're going to use this exact pipeline. We're going to set up an API. So I'm going to try setting it up on the new cluster that I created, so you can see what that looks like. So in order to build an API, we use something called app services. This is Atlas Application Services, and this includes web functions, triggers, things you can build a backend for your applications without having to deploy a backend server. So, and there's a bunch of templates in here. We'll go into them, but what we're going to do is we're going to build our own app. But if you wanted to, there's real-time sync and other templates that are help you get started. And so I'm going to create an application. This is basically creating a serverless backend. I'm going to call it movies. Okay, and what I'm going to do, you can see it prompts me again for what I want to create. There's guides for this, but I'm going to create an HTTPS endpoint. So this is an API endpoint that I can call. And in the interests of time, I'm doing one thing here. By default, app services creates things as drafts. So every change you make, it's going to say, are you sure you want to make that change? This is what's about to change. I don't want to have that prompting right now. Okay, so I'm going to add an endpoint, and I'm going to call this movies. And you can see here there's a URL and a curl that I could try to actually see what happens when I hit that. I want to get my values from the URL parameter, and we're going to respond with the result. And I'm going to create a new function, and this uses JavaScript for the server-side functions. And I went back to this tutorial, the one that I mentioned before, Atlas Search Workshop, and you can actually copy the code directly from the end of this. We're down, where am I? Scrolling down. Sample data, call the API. Sorry, I didn't have that quite bookmarked. Okay, so I'm going to replace the whole function with what's in the tutorial there, and let's see what happens. If I save this, I have one error. There's a syntax error in the example. So this also highlights syntax errors here. If I noticed earlier, there's an unexpected thing. It's just missing a semicolon. Great. So if all went well, I should be able to copy this endpoint into a new thing, and says no authentication methods were specified. So creating an API endpoint doesn't automatically open up access to all my data. I have to give some permissions around that. So I could say, I want my function to be authenticated with username and password or certificates or different options. In this case, I'm going to say just run as a system. I'm okay for anybody to hit this endpoint. It's just going to be fetching movies. So, okay, we're getting a little bit further. I've got an empty query returned. Now I'm going to go back. Now this function that was in the example there, it doesn't have any aggregation query. So I'm going to copy the aggregation query that we created earlier. And I can just drop that in, the one that I created visually. And if all is well, so nothing's here because no search term. Oops, let's go no search term. So this is expecting to get a query parameter. I just look quickly at the function. What the function does is it gets a a handle to the movies collection, so where my data is stored, and it's expecting a search term as a query parameter, and then it's going to put that search term into my aggregation, or it will in a moment. Okay, so I've not provided a search term. I'm going to add a parameter, which is search term equals spider, and now you can see it's returning results of all movies with spider. And if I change this to bats, you'll see it's not changing. That's because I had a placeholder in my query for spider, and I could change that to a variable. And it auto-completes the variables for me as well. So if I save this now, huzzah, I've got a API that's doing a dynamic query to Atlas Search, and I think I'm ready to go with deploying an application. So I've got only a few minutes left, and I think we can do this. So if I go back to Atlas Search Workshop, you'll see here there's a code sandbox embedded, and what's really cool about this is you hit Edit Sandbox, and it'll actually create a copy of that code, that application that you can play with. So this application, I happen to know that if I go to Components, Home, it's going to be looking for an endpoint. If I search for bat, it says build movie endpoint, please. So I'm going to go here, copy the API endpoint that I had created, and plonk in this URL, and let's see what happens. Spider. Don't forget to save. Okay, so now what you can see is, oh, I didn't put rating in. I missed something in my API. I know what that is. So IMDb, save. Real-time fixing. Okay, I've got that. I reload my application. And so this is a React application. You can have a look at the code and play with it. But the idea is you can start with this, and there we are. Whew, made it in time. So I search for spider. I get Spider-Man movies. They're sorted by this. If I search for bats, well, that's not so good. Nightwing, he is a Marvel superhero. Snakes. So there is, we made it all the way from deploying a cluster to creating an API and getting an application that you can now spend more time to learn more about the Atlas Search features. So the last thing I'm going to point out is this page is a great resource. So if you look here, it links to other examples. The one I would recommend playing with is Atlas Search Restaurants. And this is a site called What's Cooking, and this actually shows you, you can see how the query gets built up. So if I'm looking for something here, it's kind of meant for education. It actually shows you how different advanced search criteria gets built into the query. All right, so crossing back to, last thing I said I was going to leave you with is a few free resources where you can get more help and advice with MongoDB. So community resources. The first one, the MongoDB developer community at community.mongodb.com. This is where I and my team live, and there's thousands of discussions on there. We have 130,000 plus members in the community, and it's a great resource. We have the experts. Second thing I'd recommend is the MongoDB Developer Center, and this is our official place where we have code examples, videos, tutorials. So that's also a great learning resource as well. And part of that is also we're looking for feedback. So if you said I'm looking for a specific article and it doesn't exist, or perhaps I've written this article and I want to share it with the community, then that's the kind of interaction we're looking for there. And finally, almost one more thing after this, MongoDB University, free online courses. And we have a team that will also help support you if you have any questions in the community. So post them. Every course has a forum, and there's a couple of learning paths. So if you wanted to learn to be a MongoDB developer or learn to be a MongoDB admin, we have these paths with recommended courses for you. And the last thing I'm going to mention is MongoDB user groups. And Harshit, he's busy posting away links in the chat there. He is leading our user group program. And so if you want to check that out, community.mongodb.com/user groups, we are building out a program of user groups around the world. And it's sessions like this where we want to have learning experiences, hands-on, connect with other people, share your experiences. And it's an opportunity for any of you to step up and lead and get involved. And there we go. I think I didn't go too far over time, so thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions, community@mongodb.com is obviously a great place there. I think a few of us are in the chat there if you have questions as well. And yeah, thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy learning MongoDB.
It's not easy for people with kids to start over their lives. It's I don't know, it's the economy, it's the country, it's the... I have very negative experiences. People just look at you and tell you that you are lying, you were not working for them. As an example, I have like companies which are Hungarian governmental organizations. Projects which I just let go, don't care. And it's so good. How is it when people value your work and they are happy with it and they say it? It's such a different experience for me. It's really, really good.
Sometimes when I wake up in the morning and still working, but she's happy and she likes it. And it's such a special thing to find something that you really like to do.
Anyone I told about my job, they had no idea what I was talking about. And sometimes I feel like quite weird because they look at me like I was crazy.
Mom is shy from some point of view, but also she's real brave. And I'm so proud of her that she tried this new thing.
I'm the boss here, actually. I'm the one who has to be conscious enough, and then if I am conscious enough with my time, then I can do actually anything I want. So I can go around in the morning if I want to. I can spend time with my daughter as much as I want to.
When you work in science, it's difficult to develop your career further. Even if I would start my own research laboratory, I don't think it's like really gives you that much money. So this model of the DNA molecule, which is related to the first Topcoder challenge I participated in, it has the first prize, $8,000, which was quite a lot for me. And I think it was like 1 month's run, so 8,000 for 1 month. It was pretty cool. And even like the 4th place here has like 1,500 price, which was the same almost like my monthly pay. So yeah, after a few months completing Coder, realizing it is a stable income source for me, I decided that I can move to a nicer place to live. So I choose Valencia, like a large town, but still not that busy and crowded as Madrid or Barcelona. You're getting better life. You always can dream about something bigger. So you think, oh, I should work more and harder, then I can afford more stuff. Maybe I'm dreaming one day I buy a yacht and start sailing on a yacht. To the skills and experience I get a Topcoder, probably one day I can, I don't know, start to do even more profitable project beyond the Topcoder. I think everybody should start thinking about making some independent project and business of his own, which then bring you to even high incomes and better life.
I took a very unorthodox path when I was younger. I left school early to start my own company. I went to Harvard for university for a couple of years and then I dropped out. I really just wanted to be out here. Like I wanted to be building real things and making things happen. I've always been a very competitive person, and I try to use competitive nature just in terms of like trying to push for us to hit the best goals as a team whenever possible. It's easy for a lot of people to look at programming itself, or all of these different paths that aren't the typical orthodox path, and to say that they're weird or to say that they're strange or different, and it's easy to feel that way, of course. There's nothing wrong at all with taking a different path. It's possible to take a different path too, and to be able to relate and to fit in. I have a full-time job running a startup, and obviously it's very, very busy, and there's lots going on all the time. And it's kind of crazy to imagine that, right? Because, you know, working at a software company, you would think that the last thing you would want to do to relax is to program more. But somehow just that environment and the problems and just kind of getting to think about these and get to test my skills against the best competitors in the world. A really good problem shows you not just how to solve the problem itself, but it also shows you this intuition or this pattern that applies many, many places, right? And it's the same idea that can carry over and over. And that's, I think, something that's really, truly satisfying to explore.
I have 2 kids who need me almost every time. I had to quit my job because of her. Not many people in India get to work from home. Everyone says the same. I'm the only person they know who is working from home. What I was making in 30 days, some 5 years back, I'm making the same amount of money in 3 days. Yeah, I don't want to tell to anybody because really, because the competition is huge. The more people I say, the more competition I get. I don't want to tell about Topcoder to anybody. I am a tough competitor. I need to be strong from the beginning till the end, till the last very minute. We are comfortable with competitions. We grew up with competitions. In education, we have a lot of competitions. We have to do our best to get into good college. So it is easy for us to compete in Topcoder when compared to the competition we had during colleges.
Most of the people I know, they just sit there and wish that things happen to them. Like they say, I wish I had a better car, I wish I was making more money, but they do nothing about that. I make changes to make things happen. Karditsa is a small city in the center of Greece with a very relaxing vibe. What I like most about my city is that I'm very close to the nature. I don't really feel the need to move to a bigger city. I think you don't have to be in a big city to make big things happen. You can work remotely and make the same money with someone who lives in the Bay Area. As a co-pilot at Topcoder, I communicate with the clients to understand their needs on creating any type of software. I have to analyze the problem, split it into smaller problems, and then assign it to the appropriate group of people. When I get out of the military, I wasn't quite sure what I should do next in my life. I realized that I don't have many options, so I had to choose a path. I had to figure out what to do next, and I was very confused.
Από εκεί και πέρα, κάθε δυσκολία σε κάνει πιο δυνατό. Κάθε δυσκολία, ο πιο δυνατός αντίπαλος. Επίσης μετά να νικάς τους φόβους. Βλέπεις ένα πολύ δυνατό αντίπαλο, τον φοβάσαι, θα με χτυπήσει, θα με κάνει.
So you only live once, so you have to make it count. You have to make things that make you happy. You have to have enough time to do different things, enjoy yourself, enjoy the nature, travel.
The first season I was competing, I managed to actually win a trip to Topcoder Open. And it was a big wow moment for me because I thought, oh wow, this is really cool.
When I was growing up, it was very hard to find people who had the same interests as me. And so, of course, getting to compete against people all over the world online was amazing. But I think really getting to meet them in person, getting to know them, and to make friends was especially valuable.
And I'm really looking forward to meet those people again. Quite soon, yay! So happy.
I've never met any Topcoder guys before, so I wanted to meet all the persons I have been interacting with them. This is an opportunity to be on the finals, gives me an opportunity to represent my country.
We've got a community of over 1.5 million people. We've flown in over 100 people to be here with us in Houston.
Supposed to be here now. My US visa was denied, so I couldn't make it. So I'm very much disappointed. This was something I was expecting for a very long time.
This year, the Spirit Award goes to Scott Wu.
I want to participate in Topcoder as long as I can, either to compete or to commentate or just to be part of the community. I mean, I really enjoy the community, so I would love to come back.
Actually, it's quite surprising that we are happy for each other's successes. I mean, if you think about it, it's normal. We are human, but still, you don't really see this in other platforms because there is no community at all. People are not talking to each other, and here, especially the design community, is a really loving family. So many good friends, and this community who will stay with us forever, it seems.
Hello, can you hear me now? All right, okay. I just had to reconnect to the thing. Sorry about that. So anyway, I was saying what an amazing video that was. Hopefully that really helped you to understand what makes Topcoder different, right? We're not just this place where you can just show up and get paid, but we're a community of people who care about each other, and it's amazing to get to meet everybody in person. So I hope that really helped answer some of your questions that you had about what is different about Topcoder. And thank you so much for listening in and joining. That is one of the my most favorite project I've ever worked on at Topcoder was creating that video. So hope you enjoyed it. Now with that, we've had some technical hiccups here and there, and I wanted to apologize for that. You never know how these virtual / in-person events are going to go. So I want to thank you guys all for being here today. We are going to close out this virtual event now because we're not sure that the next part of it would go very well for you folks who are listening virtually. And so we're going to, any other content that's going to happen after the fact, we're going to record and make sure you have access to it so you can actually listen in well. So right now, I'm going to close this out. I want to say thank you again, all of you who are here on Welcome right now listening in. I hope this was a good use of your time. If you have any other questions for Topcoder, I'm always available, Jessie@topcoder.com. And so is my team. Join us in Discord and just get involved. Just jump into the community and try to do everything you want to do. And as Thomas said, it's like you have to go out and get what you want and make the most of that and leverage all the opportunities and things that we provide for you at Topcoder. And of course, all the amazing resources you can get from folks like MongoDB as well. So thank you to our sponsor, MongoDB. Thank you to the amazing Topcoder team for being here. You'll be getting an email very soon to get your TCO22 t-shirt, and I hope you wear it proudly and share it anywhere on social, #TCO22. But that's it for me today. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great rest of your Saturday, and looking forward to seeing you on the leaderboard next year. All right, bye, guys.